Hi, all. Welcome to yet another Koot Podcast series where we discuss global tech adoption trends with global industry leaders. And today we have very interesting tech leader with us, Mr. Ankur Gupta, who is the MD VP at Sears Holdings. He's spearheading the tech initiatives at Sears Holdings. So he has more than 25 years of experience as a tech leader. So let's welcome Ankur. Hi, Ankur. Welcome and thank you so much for taking out time for us, Ankur.
Thank you, Nageshwari. Thank you for the invitation. And it's a pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely. I really look forward to this podcast and learn a lot, Ankur. So, I have given a very brief introduction, but if you could tell more about you and your current role at Sears Holding, Ankur.
As an MD, Division Vice President for Sears Holding India, we manage GCCs for Sears.
Yeah.
And we have a presence in Hyderabad, we have presence in Pune. Uh, we kind of manage all functions related to finance, fintech, HR, US HR, India HR, uh, end to end from hire to retire. We do a lot of technology related work, the infrastructure support, development, and all the we try to experiment with all the latest technologies that's coming or getting developed, or what can be done via AI. It's done via India. So we could say uh, the designing or the architecture or thought process begins in US and everything gets
Okay.
executed. And so
Wonderful.
here had this we had three offices, Pune, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. So now we have two offices, Hyderabad and Pune. We are looking at expanding our businesses in US, North America. So hence we always keep engaging in increasing the team size in India. That, that's what I do today. I hail in from the worlds of TCS, Converges, Cognizant, Sutherland.
Yeah.
So tasted the water of different organizations. Been part of typically an outsourcing world,
Yeah.
what you would call as a BPO, KPO,
Yeah.
and then it's evolved into GCC centers and predominantly with Sears for almost 9.5 years now.
Wonderful, wonderful, Ankur. Thanks for sharing that. Ankur, you have, I've gone through your LinkedIn and you have, previous history of establishing GCCs, right? From the point where they were not doing operationally well and then scaling them up, right? Now, at what is your observation with the retail GCCs? What are the major complex? What are the unique complexes, challenges here in the retail GCCs like Sears? And also, when it is going beyond technology, right? You mentioned about the HR and the global shared services in the areas of finance and HR, other operations. So, what are some of the unique challenges you have observed, Ankur?
See, GCC in itself is is a business. It's a vertical in itself. To answer straight to your question, why do GCCs exist? Now there are organizations like, take an example, the Sears, and there are other brands, right? They have been in the market for close to 100 plus years. Now, specifically big retailers, you could say Walmart,
Correct. Walmart, let's go. Yeah.
that they have been at least there for at least 4 to 5 decades. Now they have started from kind of a paperwork entry world domains, and then get into computers, and then get into technology like mainframes, and then start adapting to newer technologies, and then now run these stores through iPads. So the technology has been evolving, right? So, but you have to run your operations as an ongoing factor, and you will have to have your retail stores functional day in, day out. You need to have
Hmm.
supplies coming in, the inventories being stocked up. So all these retail complexities needs to continue. At the same time, your technology needs to also enhance, which works in the background. Now, when an organization becomes extremely large, it is like Sears at one point in time had 2,000 plus stores, and then we also had Kmart uh,
Hmm.
with a set of close to around 2,000 plus stores. Now, when you have to manage such a large conglomerate, right? you will have an individual finance function, you will have an
Yeah.
individual supply chain, you will have an individual inventory function, you will have a technology function, infrastructure function, and you can name it, right? And then to keep this all together, you find it extremely difficult. To even get a smallest of execution done or smallest of application getting rolled out, it has to go through so many channels.
Yeah.
So a smaller policy to be rolled out, a customer-friendly, reward structure to be rolled out, it becomes extremely difficult. So one of the things, as a leader who sits in the top, things that if I can consolidate this at one place, right?
Okay.
So before these GCCs exist, the volumes always existed, right? The
Yeah.
customers, the products were sold out, the transactions were happening. Now this needs to be managed. How will this be managed? So initially, like a market like North America established their own setups within North America, and then they
Yeah.
realized outsourcing can be an effective model. Right? One is cost effectiveness, and then it's consolidation. So
Yeah.
they opted for the bigger brands like TCS of the world, Wipros of the world. They started taking the outsourcing role. And it comes with TCS will have its own cost to run. Plus, they want to make profit out of it. So it'll have cost plus margin. So over
Yeah.
a period after 10, 20 years of outsourcing, companies have realized that, hey, look, if I can just manage the logistics of setting up my own company, I just have to pay the cost, not the profits, right?
Not the profits. Yeah.
So then they set up their own entity. They first what they do have done is they have outsourced everything. Now they want to insource it back. So it's called as reverse transition. So largely you see a boom in India of GCCs is because organizations have matured and they've realized that they can typically do and reverse transition and set up their own entities.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they are also insourcing back the what is outsourced, which is transactions, and also what they have in house, like like a finance function will have its own hiring team, will have a own HR vertical, will have a lot of
Yeah.
things. Similarly, a supply chain function will it's a company within a company for large conglomerates. So they would try to consolidate, get all the HR hire to retire functions. And for a US, each state has its own rule for wages. It's a very
Okay.
complicated state of affairs. It's not like India,
Okay.
you have one PF rule. It's not like that.
Okay.
So, and that's where the advantage for India is. But so to get this set up in India, it's also a challenge because you have to go through series
Multiple.
multiple, like you get tax benefits on SEZ, non-SEZs, and so
Hmm.
you need the people like me to kind of set this up. But coming to your point in what retail offers today, retail has a wide spread of customers now. One is a physical walk-in store, and then
Yeah.
then you have the likes of which you also call as retail online now, which is Amazon's of the world,
E-commerce. Yeah. Hmm.
e-commerce, and then but you still have the same suppliers. If somebody who would manufacture it for and put
Hmm.
it or they would also put it on online. Right?
Yeah.
So a supply chain is a little different, warehousing and others, and inventory management. But so retail is evolving, and retail is evolving with quick commerce as well. Right?
Yeah.
India has been an early adapter to quick commerce, but it has still not captured a wide varieties of product. It still kind of looks at how about you get a iPhone in next 2 hours or 15 minutes, right? So it is we have not adapted to those kind of a thing, but yes, it is developing very quickly because customer buying patterns are changing.
Hmm.
So with that, you would need a GCC which can support this technology advancements.
Hmm.
You require newer technologies to get adapted.
Hmm.
You require so I read your buying patterns in terms of what you have searched
Hmm.
for so many times or the multiple hits, and then I can get those product or similar product on top of your app so that you can
Yeah.
buy. Technology is adapting, and this never existed 20 years back.
Hmm.
Developed something. So we had mainframes of the world where all the purchase habits were getting stored, and they were normally transactions. You
Got it.
we are selling X number of products in quantity. So retail is changing, and because the retail is changing, the customers, buying habits and the availability of products. Like there are multiple platforms now, so there's many
Yeah,
companies for discounts and so on and so forth. You have to be competitive as well.
correct.
So GCCs plays the role of hiring the talent. GCCs plays the role of maintaining finances. For India works, for other markets, we play a very critical role in terms of even sourcing for US countries. We do a lot of infrastructure related work for them, and then you do continuous application development and support. Now, this also gives an opportunity for you to introduce newer products, newer services for any other market. So, as a GCC head, I kind of firefight for all these functions, and we look for opportunities. What can be done in a retail space, which can reach to a larger audience.
So you're firefighting about the opportunities, Ankur. So how do you then grab the opportunity? Do you Could you just take us visually, like do you often travel to the HQ and you discuss with your with your HQ team of your your counterpart team members and understand where is the pain point, what is the requirement? You come back and then you do a kind of POC, or how do you grab the opportunity, Ankur?
So there are two kind of businesses I do. I'm into a service business where I increase the size of my office,
Okay.
increase the team size, right? So and then second is that is the business I am in GCC, right? To increase my office size. The second business is from an organization perspective, companies in the business of increasing the revenue, right? Because I'm a support function to my
Yeah.
organization. So from a sales perspective, I often travel. I often speak to all my leaders to consolidate their businesses. Most of the businesses may not be in a tech environment, maybe outsourced, and we cannot do a reverse transition to all businesses in one go.
Yeah.
Uh, so because they have their P&L, they have an ecosystem which they have established over the period of 10 to 15 years. And I cannot just go overnight and say that, hey, we will stop work there and we will start doing a
Yeah.
work. We have to do it in a transition manner. Plus, we are contractually obligated with multiple other requirements. So one of my core job is to continue to pitch or sell, our technologies, our capabilities within the system, where we can do majority of the work. So if I'm a division vice president here, I'm sure there is a division vice president or a CFO for finance. There is a division vice president for technologies, and they need to be also given the comfort factor that this can be delivered through my center. And this is typically all the GCC leaders, have to do a day in day out kind of job. Now, at the same time, when we do this and we're talking to these leaders, it is a POC kind of a concept which we kind of talk because I'm talking to other leaders in the industry as well.
Yes.
Someone talks about an AI adaptation, somebody talks about a tool adaptation, somebody talks about they are going through this problem. Typically, one of the examples that we would want to give is people coming back from COVID. They didn't want to come back to office, and
Yeah.
so there is if you do not offer work from home, then you lose the top talent. So then, what are the adaptation in the in the ecosystem? What are the other GCCs following? So, and then we take it to the business, saying that hey, your team doesn't want to come back to office. We want to give them some comfort at like probably work from 2 days, 3 days. We can implement it, but this will be a challenge where you see a dip in productivity, dip in business. So how
Hmm.
do we face that? Then we get into some tool building exercise where we kind of monitor their executions. So we do a lot of tool building for
Okay.
within the organization for keeping a track of productivity and so on and so forth. But typically, if I'm as a salesperson, my responsibility is to ensure that the center grows as much as possible.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, the center grows with the size, Ankur. So in terms of you should expand the existing operations like finance, HR, and your AI capabilities. You have to expand the the team structure under each verticals. Ankur, is that what do you mean by I
What,
mean,
what
as a salesperson, what is your core objective here?
so what happens is, let's take an example. Like actually, we have a finance team, right?
Yeah,
Uh, they would kind of typically it will involve analysts, forecasting,
yeah,
models. We'll have uh, we'll have treasuries and this kind of thing.
correct. Accounting and yeah,
So forth, AP, AR,
yeah,
and so forth. Uh, so now what happens is, if your organization is increasing in terms of revenue, the team size of this
it's going to
uh,
increase.
is going to increase.
Yeah,
Uh, Now, typically, what happens is I can introduce AI as an adaptation, right? And I can have lot of advancement in terms of process.
yeah,
Now, when I introduce AI, right, I cannot replace the legacy knowledge because people will know, they will understand the tax
yeah,
legalities, where is what. And with a organization like Sears, we will have another 30 companies within Sears. So they would know all the vendor obligations, vendor contracts,
correct.
so on and so forth, right? So our general proposal would be we can have a parallel team set up in India,
Okay,
and we would kind of engage with the team in US, and they can look and we can have this team build technology advancement as well, like consolidation of ledgers, consolidation of every other cost that is flowing everywhere in the company. Rather than that, it's go through a proper structure, proper flow. Now, when you do that, there is some amount of consolidation for North America market, okay, in terms,
okay.
and you will move this work. Now, these teams are typically, if you have just one geography like a North America, then you will have a limited scope to grow because you will have, right,
Yeah, you just have one
correct. But
geography. Yeah,
you are present in multiple different geographies,
yeah,
then you will move with one market to two market at a time, and then you will find capabilities. You'll have a leader, and then jump on and on. But this completely changes when you do a customer service or a customer centric work, where if the number of transactions are increasing, right, you require more number of hands to support. Uh,
okay,
and you require round the clock support, you require a larger centers to kind of cater to. But technology, this is kind of getting very automated. We get a lot of robots are today, agents are auto responding to customers' query. Uh, and some part of those queries get auto resolved, but
correct.
still require a human intervention. And continue to grow this team size. Uh,
Okay,
you can say every quarter. So because this
every quarter.
every quarter this there is a need because
So okay, this is interesting, Ankush. Every quarter your team size is increasing.
yeah, so we do a 10% or 12% bump to the team size.
Wonderful. Okay, maybe one follow-up question to this, Ankur. So, which are the areas that you see, maybe scarcity or difficulty in identifying the right talent, Ankur? Is it in the finance or the tech?
See, all verticals gives us some amount of hiring nightmares.
Okay.
And as more and more GCCs come in, the ecosystem has a limited pool. And so we have to also kind of, we are feeder to some other organization, and some other organization is also kind of help us, groom some talents in which we can, because the market is competitive. I've also
Absolutely.
moved from one organization to this organization. So market is competitive. Typically, we would always want to hire CAs for fintech workers, right? But having an abundance of CAs is not, it's a luxury. So, we look at functions where these kind of fintech work is kind of being delivered. Right now, we look at the gift cities where there is a lot of fintech work that's happening, where we can get top talent. We hire from IITs. So we also look at top pool for AI. Uh, so it's the answer is not straight. It's like it's a business. So however you can get it achieved, it's going to be a win for the organization.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ankur. Now, actually, I'm getting so many questions. I'll try to structure it properly, Ankur. Uh, Going back to your role when we were discussing earlier, Ankur, you had mentioned a very interesting project about how can you replicate the urban clap in India. How we use the quick services, how you can replicate that. The same services with Sears Holdings and the US. Could you throw some light on that?
Sure. So the business that I was referring to is called as Home Services, and it already exists in US.
Okay.
We've been delivering this work in different tranches in terms of different kind of services
Hmm.
in US market. But our one of our core focus now is to get into customers' home and try to give them an ecosystem where Sears can help them, do an interior, do a plumbing work, do a technology setup, an automation, probably do a lawn mowing. So typical spending habit of a US customer is different. Okay, and
Yes.
they also prefer to do a lot of DIY kind of an exercise.
Hmm.
They need different kind of tools, and then the longevity to keep an appliance, like it could be a washer or a dryer. They would write they prefer to keep an appliance for a longer period, and
Yeah.
then DIY kind of work where they need parts, supplies, and
Hmm.
US typically doesn't have a mom and pop store, so you cannot just walk into a small store. So either you need those products or parts delivered home, and then they can do a DIY, or they would
Hmm.
want our technician to come get the parts, fix it. Uh, they can go to the brand and they
Yeah.
can, or they can call us and we can get it done. So we are building a lot of technology advancements on that front. How a technician could be made available to a customer, how on fingertips, customer can easily figure out how far a technician could be, how a technician could figure out, how far is the customer on the go. I can finish how many complaints,
Hmm.
keep most of the ongoing requirements. Like, you have subtypical complaints of a customer where we can keep the parts in the van. So a customer is moving with the van. Sorry, a technician is moving with the van
Yeah.
round the clock during his shift hours. And during his shift hours, he would probably carry all the parts with him. It's there in the van, and we know which are the areas we're going to get multiple queries or we are getting queries. So we have plotted that. So that's those kind of technology is getting implemented. We are working on voice-based technology where
Wonderful.
you go on the website, you can say that, hey, I need a technician, and then the application itself will help you through all the details.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Ankur. I mean, I keep hearing this that the landscape of GCC is changing, and it is for real, right? I mean, you have worked earlier with the BPOs and KPOs. You have strong background there. So, are you really witnessing the change here, Ankur?
Oh yes, oh yes. I tell you, to give you an example, I come in from probably an orthodox, because I've learned the hard way. Open Excel, get the things done. Then you learn into forecasting. Then the tools came in for forecasting, and a lot of other things have got implemented. Now today, if I get a file, I just put it on a search engine, and it does everything for me. So it saves a lot of time. However, there has been a constant push because the way I come in from an orthodox, or you can say, the old style,
Yeah.
right? Uh, I've seen, my leaders also at times kind of see the technology being implemented by the team, but so they know that, hey, we'll take this initiative. But from a executive perspective or from a self-learner perspective, we are little refraining. But I kind of experiment with all the Claude, be it ChatGPT, be it Codex, be
Yeah.
it codes, uh, try to adapt. We do so. I do white coding. I do build my own apps on my
Okay.
own. I do so at this point in time when I'm talking, there are 10 agents working for me. Uh,
Yeah.
somebody's making notes, somebody is kind of looking at compiling summaries, evaluating budgets, uh, auto allocating some work that is being given to someone, and we are trying to get a progress on it. Technology is evolving. The way I was managing 10 tasks in a day, I'm managing that 10 tasks differently. Now, it's saving time, yes, at times, yes, but the
Absolutely.
technology is still work in progress, so it breaks at times. But now, I'm not dependent on coder per se to build my own. I am doing it myself. So technology is getting accessible like in a phone in your hand rather than, with a lot of apps in it. So technology is changing. So if the technology is changing, the user approach is changing. And when the user approach is changing, the way to do business is changing. The way I did BPOs 10 years down the line, no, I don't think like that. I have chats, I have bots for chats, I have so there are multiple angles in a transaction, right? You have customer that you're talking to, you have a refund that is at your offer. So there is a financial transaction also seeps in. So there is a validation and then there's a replacement. 60 to 70% of this task is being done by AI today for me. And that is all built in-house. And then the 30% of this is human intervention.
Sure.
Uh, so it's changed.
Sure, sure. What I meant also was that, given your background in the IT as a BPO and KPO, now the landscape of GCCs are also changing from, mere back office. You mentioned about the voice search, right? So that is something which you're developing here in India, and it is getting adopted globally. So for example, even Nokia in Manyata Tech Park in Bangalore, it is generating the maximum number of patents in the world. So that's how the landscape is changing, and it is for real. That's what I meant.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure, sure, Ankur. Now going back to the talent thing, Ankur, though I totally agree that, your GCC's main objective is to build the in-house homegrown tools, and, that's the main objective, and do not go for the hire, train, deploy model, or the outsourcing model. However, when it comes to the new, adoptions or new tasks, are you also collaborating with the external products or the vendors, Ankur? If yes, what are the different criterias with which you are evaluating them, Ankur?
So, to survive in the ecosystem, doing all by ourselves is a bad strategy. It's my predominant business is retail, not manufacturing. Right.
Correct.
I'm inclined to have a product in the store rather than doing a manufacturing and then doing the logistics, then a supply chain, and then so the problem is when manufacturing, again, you have to go through human resources, again, you have to set up a entity, and then again, a finance for it. And again, so it's a company within a company, right? So, what is your forte at this point in time, and what's your, so if we have to kind of look for a newer tool, understand the tool in a better manner, or implement anything within our organization. Yes, we partner. We partner with vendors. We partner with staffing organizations. We partner with supplying of various applications. We do engage, and some of the vendors have become so very handy that we cannot think of our
Wow.
setup without them today. Now it's not predominantly a manpower supply. Yes, there is a manpower supply because 100% of the requirements are always within a cutthroat. Like we need somebody in 30 days, 60 days, somebody's leaving. So we also partner, and that's where contractual obligations and other things comes in. But we try to minimize as much as possible.
How about the AI tools, Ankur? Do you also partner with the SaaS products when it's coming to the requirement of AI tools?
So what we're doing is we are not going for an AI tool, but we are looking at automating most of our tasks. And wherever there is so 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 AI has a different way people understand it. One is a part where there's a machine learning and The application learns by itself. This is the customer behavior, human behavior, and so on and so forth. And then it adapts and then it evolves. So at this point of time, I have a very limited requirement for that kind of anything. Uh, One of the so for the tools that we are building for home services, we have a requirement on those lines. But in terms of a continuous evaluation on automation, adapting to a newer technology which can scale down the large manual requirements. Like for example, we can always position this is it is nothing but coding. It's not like that. For example, if I do a transaction online and if the
Mm,
transaction flows, right? There is a human intervention in terms of a replacement. There is a human intervention in terms of refunds. There's a transaction has to flow in. Now, or it could be a cloud where we have a lot of data being seated and somebody forgets to turn off a cloud machine and it's running, right? So we have built technologies for it. It just goes ahead and does it. It's more of a supporting aspect. Now
mm,
it's checks and balances. Do we need to do these? Do we need to do these? For example, we just built a reimbursement tool for our organization.
okay.
The reimbursement tool, you just place the invoice, okay, and you use your login. Just like for example, Ankur Gupta password. It
Yeah.
figure out my complete profile, bands, eligibility, and everything by itself. And
Okay.
when you put the invoice, uh, it'll automatically figure out what's the value, what's I'm eligible to reimburse, what needs to be done. It'll do its own checks and balances.
Mm,
The invoice is not clear, it probably go in for a manual process for a review. Otherwise, it'll directly go out for payout.
okay.
No more human intervention. Now, currently we are doing this only for for employees only. Okay. Because we are also a supplier to other
So
vendors.
this was totally homegrown, Ankur? This was totally homegrown?
Totally. So a part of it, I built it. So you do not require, a technology acumen. You probably just need to understand how you can get this implemented. And then now once this is successfully implemented within the organization, as a large number of populations could use it, uh, then we can extend this to our vendors for invoicing, and we get a lot of invoicing, and then we can do taxations around it. So it's phase wise. So now this will reduce a lot of human intervention. Probably there will be a learning on the go. Now this technology we can implement it on screens. What we are looking at, as I'm talking to you, it can read through that. So we have different technology they already existing like voice enabled technology.
Hmm.
So let's see where it goes. But AI and as an AI, what people understand that companies are building AI.
Hmm.
Yes, they are building that level of technology, but not all companies are using that level of technology.
Sure, sure, Ankur. Now I think we are coming to the last part of our podcast, Ankur. Uh, can you share, you have been, again going back to your journey, you have scaled many GCCs when they were operationally low and you have scaled them pretty well. So could you share one of your resilience story, Ankur? Um
So
as a
when you say low in terms of headcount or.
profit?
So I'm a captive unit. That's how the industry understands it, or it's an extension to my parent company. So generally, we get targets in terms of your forecasting is 50 million, 70 million, 100 million, like, and you stay your expenses and you keep your expenses within that. You at times you go overboard if you're hiring extensively or so and so forth. But generally, those are built in a manner where or the likes of me, are quite handy in terms of ensuring that the finances are not impacted. Now, there are lows. In 2020, we filed for bankruptcy. Sears filed for bankruptcy. So it was a stage where we thought that there is no tomorrow. Uh, and then COVID came in where the retail stores were literally not open, right? So we thought that there is no tomorrow, right? So we adapted and we adapt. There are days where uh, you feel that there is no tomorrow. We will have to we'll have to look at a different approach to kind of get this automation executed, AI executed, like adapting to AI technologies, finding resources for AI. Till date, we find resources who says that they can do it, but when we kind of get them on board, 6 months down the line, we find them we are struggling to get the work done. So, but the perspective is, I've been through my journey, right? And I've started from taking calls. It's not that everything came on platter. So, being resilient comes as a DNA, and not to give up. I would like to share a classic example.
Yeah.
Somewhere in 2023 or 2024, we observed that lot and lot of employees are asking for work.
Employees
So
are asking what?
work from home, right?
Oh, work from home. Yeah.
And we were very obligated because we were part of a special economic zone. So we get tax benefits out of it, right? So one of their requirement is you need to have an X number of attendance for, and that's a compliance.
Okay.
So So we thought, what can be done, what cannot be done. So we took a step where we thought we will want to have our presence in the same city, but we would want to come out of SEZ. Now, getting into setting up an organization in India is plain Manila. It's very simple, right? And when you want to exit out, so everything needs to be, in black and white in terms of
Yeah.
when I say black and white in terms of everything needs to be documented. Like the
Correct.
first laptop that you would have bought for the organization, and you would have taken tax benefits. Now you may have to return those benefits
Yeah.
because you want to get out of SEZ. So, so and a mammoth task in itself because the organization size is predominantly very high, and we want to do it for two locations, Hyderabad and Pune.
Yeah.
Both has a different jurisdiction and both have a different uh, rule play or a book.
Rule book. Yeah.
So now, when we started off, we were literally not aware of how to, because this was implemented in way in 2010. At that time, government norms were different.
Hmm.
Things changed when we were doing in 2024. So we have to adapt, right? And we have to figure out vendors who could do this work for us. We have to figure out, what should be our talking point to the, because it's also, when you look at shutting down an SEZ center, it also looked as if there will be unemployment.
Hmm.
So that was not the case. We were kind of moving out of SEZ, but it gives us. So there was a lot of explanation to the government authority that we have to make, and we have to set up our office. So we did two, three things together. We were shutting down our old office. We have to go through the government loop, finish off everything with the vendors, everything, and we have to keep our operations running.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have to get into a newer office. So set up our own complete office from scratch. So that also gives us an exposure in terms of how you set up an entity in India.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I look at it from the silver lining in terms of what comes as part of your capability. You do not get to set up. Not all leaders gets to set up a whole entity uh, to be from scratch in India. So I got the opportunity, and we banked on it. We
Hmm.
completed some of the transitions, the whole exercise in 6 months. Right?
Hmm. Okay. 6 months is a quite short period for all this.
Because when we consulted we consulted the big four, so we got a estimation of approximately around 12 to 18 months. And so we have to kind of literally be very pushy. So that's where when you talk about resilience, right? Why not give up? This
Hmm.
example comes uh, as a first example in my head. Now, what benefits does it offer today? From a financial perspective, retail has, and then we had this Iran war, and then okay, so not all companies would, like the TCS of the world, we could not really comfort all our employees, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
This this specific move where we give a flexibility to our employee to work from home, right? And we do look at productivity. We have tools where we look at, are they available, are they not available? We have productivity, the constant feedback from the leaders. So we have designed our HR application in such a way that the constant feedback is flowing in.
Sure.
So so when we do that, our attrition has been exceptionally low in the industry, and that has been
Wonderful.
one of the safeguards to kind of run the organization the way we would like to run.
Wonderful.
One of these exercises when we were pitching in, as there is a lot of backing we require from the HQ when we do these exercises.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, the story was we will be able to retain top talent, and they can probably sit in any part of the country, and they can uh, and we rolled out a survey for that, and there was 84% of population wanted to kind of opt for that regime.
Okay.
So that's so yeah. So it's when you speak resilience, this is you think of an idea, you build on an idea, and you kind of keep pitching to our leaders within your system as well, and kind of pitch it to your employees. How can it really work for you, work for your betterment, and then you get it executed. So now this could be an organization-wide idea, it could be an application-wide idea. Uh, that's that's the plain vanilla concept we build on.
Sure, sure, Ankur. Thank you so much for sharing and taking out time for your. I really thoroughly enjoyed this podcast, especially your last example about resilience. You pulled out everything in 6 months. I think that is phenomenal. Against the big four saying 18 months, that was really phenomenal, Ankur.
Thank you. Thank you for
Sure, sure, Ankur. Thanks again.
thank you.